G'day everyone, Prep Aussie here. I hope you're all well in whatever part of the world you're watching this video. Today is Monday, the 5th of October 2018, and the time here is 0950 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Well folks, once again, sorry about the picture, etc. I won't be getting a new camera till the end of the week, and also the audio. I've got to somehow try and figure out how I can get this to work on my computer. It will be done eventually, but it won't be until the end of the week probably, so just bear with me. I've got a couple of things to show you today, 3 things to show you. Each one is going to make your blood boil, absolutely blood boil. There's just, I don't even know how to show you this stuff, honestly. I don't even know how people are getting away with this shit anymore. Just amazing. Look folks, as regards to the Melbourne meeting, I am going to send out a big group email this week so you can start getting it organised. Like I said, need a hall, go to your local library, and most of them have community halls. You shouldn't have to pay for them. Someone wrote me an email on the weekend and said that they could get a hall that was $65 an hour. Well, if it's a community hall, you shouldn't be paying for it. I don't know what's going on in Melbourne. And try and make it central for everyone, so everyone can come from east, north, west and south, if you know what I mean. So it's not too much of a hassle. And let's try and get it together by the end of the month, and I'll get down there and we'll have the meeting. Right, let me show you these things, because honestly folks, this is going to make you, if you're an Aussie, this is going to make your blood boil, honestly. Okay, first off, this is the ABC website news for today. Look at the top one. Australian housing downturn could spark interest rate cut. Well, that's just bullshit. There's nothing that's going to happen except interest rates are going to go up, folks. They're not going to go down. Could it go down? Possibly, but you know, everything's going up. Inflation's going up, not down. So I don't know. The one that underneath it is the one that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. There's 2 reasons for this. Westpac profit rises 1% to 8.1 billion as cost increases offset by productivity savings. Okay, well that sounds like a big bunch of mobbledygook. And do you want to know what the productivity savings and what the cost increases are? That's right, the Royal Commission money. Because Westpac has to pay something like $3 billion back. So they're actually saying to you, they're saying to their shareholders, well, because of that rotten Royal Commission, you know, the one that found out that we were charging for dead people, ripping people off by overcharging them on their accounts, on their credit cards, and just blatantly ripping off their superannuation. Well, they now turned that around and said, well, that's the Royal Commission's fault. You, the shareholder, need to, you know, raise concerns with them. Honestly, this is what they're saying. They've actually had to put aside $3 billion. This is Westpac. And that's the beginning. No one knows how much further this is going to go. Now, watch this. This is going to make your blood boil. Banking regulator boss Wayne Byers reappointed as APRA gets 58 million in extra funding. This bloke, right, that bloke is the bloke who was in charge when all the banks were doing whatever they were doing. And the government just reappointed him. And what do you think the banks all said? Oh, he's a great guy. He's the best appointment possible because everyone gets along with him and he's really nice. So any of you out there who thought that you were going to watch countless bankers go to jail for fraud, ripping people off, theft, stealing, theft, well, there's your answer. The same guy who was in charge while all that was going on just got a golden handshake from the government, and now basically what they're saying is that let's just, where's that big woolen rug? Let's just lift that up and shove that under there. And it's now all finished and done. Just so you know, there's not going to be any more to this. It's finished and done. Can you believe this shit? Can you actually believe this shit? And people are falling for this. What people should do is go down their bank, draw all their money out of every single bank and your super funds. Because what that actually says is that they are going to now rip you off 100% blind. They don't care. And the government has just rubber stamped it. So, just amazing. Just amazing. I can't even understand how the government's mind was thinking in this. Let me show you the other bit there. Sorry, I've got four stories for you today. Qantas has no plans to follow Virgin's announcement of US-style priority boarding for veterans. Qantas is... Hang on, let me read it. This is how Qantas defines this. I'm going to read this to you here. But Qantas said, this is why they're not doing it, but Qantas said it carried exceptional people every day, and singling out a group as part of the boarding process would be difficult. Oh, like, folks, we're boarding all the veterans now. You know, the people that take bullets, lose legs, limbs, lives, etc. So you, the Australian public, can actually board fucking planes to fly where you want to. You know what? I just cannot believe. I cannot believe an Australian company. That's if it is Australian anymore. Who friggin' knows? I think it's owned by, half of it's owned by Emirates. I cannot believe an Australian business would actually write that, let alone anything else. Because you do realise that the people who are actually going out overseas and losing arms and legs and eyes and heads and getting killed and everything else, they're the reason why you can actually do what you can do in Australia. So basically they were just saying, you know, piss off. You're not important to us. So all you veterans out there, I wouldn't even bother flying Qantas anymore. I'd tell them to shove it up their arse and protest and go and fly Virgin, where you're welcomed and you're honoured and you're respected. Right. This last story is, I mean this is going to absolutely piss you off. If you're an Australian, this is going to make your fucking blood boil, and I mean blood boil. And if you're in Melbourne, and your kids go to school where this teacher goes to school, I'd be asking for her to get the hell out of that school. Because when I show you this, you're going to be so pissed off. There was a moment in the beginning where I kind of thought she had a bit of an argument, and then of course I read the bit down below where she just went a bit too far. Actually, she went a lot too far. Now remember, this person is from Turkey and grew up here in Australia from the age of 3. And this will give you a perspective as to how things have gone so badly wrong here in Australia, where people like her think that it's okay to say this shit. And I mean it, if you're in Melbourne and your kid's going to this school, you need to protest really badly, really strongly about this woman and get her out of the school system, because this is wrong. This is unbelievably wrong. Right, I'm going to show it to you. And as I said, you are going to be pissed off. This is it here. Why the teacher wants an extra minute's silence for the Turks. And I got to be honest, I actually, this tells you a couple of things about what's wrong with Australia at the moment. One, that someone thinks they can actually say this shit to us and that it's okay. Two, that the ABC actually took the time to write this shit out. So my taxpayers' money has gone to publicise this woman's hate for this country. And there's no other way you can say it. This woman hates this country and should not be in this country. And anybody that thinks like this, you need to get on a plane, drive to the nearest airport, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, wherever, and fuck off. It's as simple as that. If you don't want, if you're thinking like that, get on a plane and fuck off right now, because I'm sick of you people in this country saying shit like this. My dad is a veteran, and you know, if someone said anything about he went to Malaysia and the shit that he had to endure in Malaysia should not be put on anyone, but he went of his own accord, like a lot of guys did. To have this shoved down our throats by the ABC as well, by the way, this should not even make news. You know, and it makes you wonder, it makes you realise, sorry, it doesn't make you wonder, it makes you realise what's going on in this country. So let me read this to you. I'm going to start at the top. When Hallie Kazar stood for a minute's silence at her school Anzac ceremony in 1983, she wanted to ask for an extra minute to honour the Turkish soldiers at Gallipoli. I can understand that. Look, they lost something like 300,000 guys at Gallipoli, and you can't understate that, folks. And I fully understand that. It's tragic. 300,000 guys got killed there. Probably more. Who knows? You're never going to get their full figures. And they were defending their homeland, and that's fine. I've got no problems with that whatsoever. And over the years, it's been respected, you know, that they fought a good bloody fight, and they didn't let them down. And that's to be respected and honoured, and we do that. But see, this is where she goes wrong. Because we're not honouring the Turks, we're honouring our Australian fallen soldiers and the people who served at Gallipoli. We're not honouring the Gallipoli Turkish veterans because we're Australian. Right, now this is where it all goes wrong. The legacy of Anzac to me, like most Australians, is mateship, loyalty and resilience. In both of my cultures, they are so many values that they are similar. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm English and I'm Australian, but I was born here and I'm Australian. I don't class myself as being English. I'm white. Apparently that's against the law these days. Now, the Turkish Australian teenager was unable to voice her request in those days. Her English wasn't good enough to express what she felt. But she imagined that when she grew up, she'd be a teacher and her students would stand in silence for 2 minutes. Today, she has achieved both aims. I haven't been able to do it at every school because of protocols and politics. Well, I'll tell you what, she was doing it at my school, she'd have a fucking problem, I tell you. But I have done it, yes, she says. Students at her current school aren't standing for an extra minute, but other schools she's taught they have, with the support of the principal. Well, I tell you what, there's some pretty screwed up teachers out there. Because like I said, most students and teachers are very respectful. And while a few did not like the idea, it was okay in the end. Oh, well, that's nice to know. It's okay not to like the idea, even though, why? Because we're Australians and we don't want to do it? We want to respect our own dead? Now, this is where it's going to get bad, folks. This is a poem that she's written. Last year, Kazar published her first book of poems called Hijab in Jeans. Yeah, whatever. I will not apologise for loving two lands, for my two hearts, two tongues, two brains. I will not apologise for my hijab or jeans. I wear a hijab in jeans. Yeah, well, I don't really give a shit. It reflects on how she felt as a student more than 3 decades ago. As Kazar says in her poem, she felt sad for the Anzac boys, but couldn't help wondering, what the hell were they doing on the other side of the world, messing with mum and dad's land, just to look good for England? Jeez. I tell you what, sorry folks, but I tell you what, they weren't there looking good for England, you dipshit. They were there looking good for Australia. Whoever you are, Causa or whatever your name is, get on a plane and fuck off. Honestly, people like you make people like me get called far right. I'm not far right. I'm actually right. You're fucking wrong. You are so wrong, it's unbelievable. Let me put this to you. We let you come here, to this country. We let you grow up here, in this country. We let you, mingle, become part of Australian culture, and you actually wrote that shit? You've made us out to be the bad guys here. It's probably the most disrespectful thing I've seen written and done in a long time. And all of you watching this, you should be writing to the ABC, because I'm going to say you have to remove this article because it is offensive. It is massively offensive. And I don't even care. I actually do not even care if you don't like what I'm saying. You can do the same thing. Get on a plane and fuck off. Because it's disgusting. That article is a line in the sand for me, by the way. I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. To have someone who grew up in this country and turned around and actually just went, you're a bunch of dickheads. It's now time for other people, including myself, to just stand up and say, enough is enough. Enough. I'm not listening to this shit anymore. So if I get anything out of today, I hope you guys share this with everybody in Australia. And just say, look, have a look at this shit, will you? I'm sure I'm not the only one. I can't be the only one. There must be thousands, there must be people ringing the ABC today saying, what the hell are you doing? Who's running the ABC? A communist. A Turkish communist. Because I'm telling you, there's no way a rational, normal, thinking Australian would let that article go into the newspaper. The person who let that article go in is actually not a rational, normal, thinking, editorial person. There is something very severely skewed at the ABC. Anyway, folks. You know what? I never thought in my 54 years as an Australian that I would ever even have to envisage listening or even thinking, envisioning and seeing that someone in this country would actually write that shit and think like that. The woman needs to be driven out of the country, and other people like that need to be driven out of this country. It's a cancer. It's an actual cancer on our society. What cracks me up is she's talking about mateship, etc. Well, you have no fucking idea, love. Honestly. You disgust me. And after all that, I'm going to do a revolutionary act, and I'm actually going to read the scripture. He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Very true. And okay, folks, I'm going to dedicate this Lord's Prayer to all the fallen soldiers today, and for all the people who, you know, in this country who have turned on the soldiers at every whim, and to hopefully pray to get this cancer out of this country, which is just killing our country. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Alright, folks, I've said enough. I probably said too much, actually. I was pretty upset about that, so as every Australian should be. Every true Australian should be upset about that. Anyway, God bless, prep out.